my computer because it's easier for me to make the YouTube. So this is what a lot of times this is called the MVP meeting. Okay. And it's kind of tacked on to the end of the divisional meeting of kicking off SC2. And there's really two purposes of this meeting. Okay. One, I'm going to teach you in a different way why you should push, but in a different way. And then I'm also going to teach you how to push in a different way. Okay. And I'm going to jump to the how in a one way really quickly here. And the first note I was going to have you put down is that the bottom line way to sell a crap ton of Cutco in 10 days, 17 days, or 17 months or whatever is getting a lot of orders. You want to be an order sniffer outer. Okay. Like you got to find orders. I wrote up an order this week, guys. I don't do demos, right? But be a person who finds orders. Be a person who, let's think about it for a second. You guys can shout out some answers, if you're at home, whatever, but what's one way to get more orders? I'll tell you right now, for even if you've only been around for a couple weeks, there's still, remember that first few demos, I should have sold more. I totally could have sold more, but I'm like, knowing what I know now, if I would have sold more, right? That's a guy or girl. And I would say one of you, Chelsea, maybe should be in the other room, okay, cool. All right. Just making sure. All right. But the bottom line is, did you need me? Or are you good? Okay, good. All right. Bless your heart. So the bottom line is there's so much opportunity for all of you to go back to previous customers, if not day one, certainly in the last 3 or 4 days. Okay. And so on a side note, let me say, you should be posting on first of all, if you haven't friended every single customer you ever have, you should friend them or follow them or Instagram, you know what I mean? Maybe they're not on Snapchat, obviously, but if you have a Facebook, you should make sure you friend every single person you've sold Cutco to, or everyone that you might even eventually want to sell Cutco to, or whatever, because they see you posting things about your goals on social media. It really helps out because maybe you're not even getting a demo with them, but then you're like, hey, last 3 or 4 days of the push, you're reaching out to previous customers. Again, they just got their knives 2 weeks ago. When are you most fired up about anything you ever buy? When you just got it, right? And so they're actually super fired up and like, oh man, we could have bought more, should have bought more. Whether they have that thought or not, when you call them and say there's some sick deals. Guys, all my favorite stores, I am on their email list. And I'm telling you, they have me hooked. I buy stuff from my favorite places all the time because I'm on their list and I like their stuff, and it's Apple, it's this, it's certain stores in the mall, certain stores online. Yeah, there's a deal right now, 30% off this weekend only. There's not going to be 14 other weekends this year that they're going to give you 30% off on other things. And I'm like, yeah, let's buy it all up. You know what I mean? Because I'll run out otherwise, right? But I'm telling you, customers like to see and hear that you're working towards goals, even if you've already sold to them. Okay. So again, order sniffer outer, right? Getting orders is not just brand new demos. Repeat business is why a lot of people will do, like John Berghoff. You heard me tell that story the last couple of weeks. He sold 71 orders, 69,000. And I guarantee you he did not do 71 demos. It was 14 days for the push. And even though that's doable, 70 demos, so he went 100%. He had 71 orders. That's 5 sales a day, 14 days. That's 5 sales a day. He could have done 8 demos a day every day. Is that probable? Heck no. Heck no. That's not probable. Okay. I don't even think he probably did 60 demos or 50 demos. And he probably did not sell on 100% of them. He probably sold on 60, 70% of his new demos, but then he collected 20, 30 more orders. So think about who you might get orders from in the last part of the push, and think strategically, how do I let my customers know that I'm working hard for my goals? What do I post on Spaceplace? What do I post on Instagram, right? What do I post? What do I talk about at family parties, right? I'm going to see people on Pioneer Day. I'm going to see people for a wedding. We have this coming up, that coming up. We got a trip to, we're doing a 3-day thing. I'm going to be not doing demos for 3 days, or maybe I will do demos for 3 days because I'm there, and we don't sit around and sing Kumbaya holding hands for 72 hours at a family reunion. You guys know what family reunions really are, right? It's literally we all show up, cousins go downstairs and hang out and play on their phones, They're not even talking to each other, right? And the adults go upstairs and talk and take naps. Like we eat dinner together, right? And we have a campfire. But like, that's a family reunion. That's enough time to do like 20 demos if you wanted to, whether it's with people that are physically with you, or you do a couple with those people and you do some demos online in a bedroom in some house in a log cabin somewhere on your hotspot or something like that, right? Like, it's actually doable. For crying out loud, most of you know the demo site well enough at this point. The people that are in this room right now, Gavin, most of them, you guys don't even need this, like like, let's say crappy internet, but you can talk on the phone. You could literally walk them through, what is it, your Cutco demo without even having the script. Especially if they've already seen the demo and you're running up a new order for them. Another thing you should do is go see them. Put that down. And I say that because you get your fast start prizes in the mail. And you freaking go see those people and cut up some stuff with them. Bring a blue book and like walk through some new, and you're giddy on your blue book. I mean, new reps that are used to doing video demos, virtual demos, and then you get this blue book in your hands, like, oh, paper? Oh my gosh, right? And it's this exciting thing with new pictures. And it's like, oh, that's a way better picture of that knife than the one on the slide, right? And so it's great to have both. And you can still use the website, and you should still use the website. Your script, obviously, number one. You should always use that, but then you have the product details you can rip out, and do stuff like that, So there's a lot of ways to get orders, right? And again, previous customers, it's awesome. When you're posting online, another thing you can do, here's another thing that you can do to get more orders and to get more demos, have your customers post on their social media about you. Hey, everyone, this is my nephew, Will. He's just got a new job. It's literally like the phone approach. He just got a new job. And for training, his job is to show Cutco to people that he knows or that he's been referred to. And he actually gets paid $21 just to show it. And it's really awesome knives. And I love them. And I can't wait to get mine, or I've had my Cutco for 20 years. I can't think of a better way to get a referral. Who cares if 99 out of 100 of their friends ignore them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because they have 500 friends. 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 of them be like, I need some Cutco. I need some Cutco. I need some Cutco. When Samantha sold 14 grand in her push, the last night she sold 4 grand the last night of the push. And I need you guys to know this. She sold 4 grand her last day of the push. 2 grand of it was after 9 p.m. from social media posts. Now, that wouldn't have happened if it was one day. Like the last day, oh, I should put up some social media posts. It was a 2 weeks buildup. Like I'm posting, I'm at this, I'm at that. That's where the thermometer comes in. When Mike Dowd, you guys have heard of Mike Dowd. I'll put up a slide of him right now. Okay. When Mike Dowd was at $900,000 in sales last year, he was trying his butt off to sell a crap ton of Cutco. Okay. To sell 100 grand. He sold over 200 grand in the month. Okay, he sold over 200 grand in the month. Is this on the screen? No. Okay. So we're actually going to watch a little video of this. Okay. So I'm going to go here and here and here. Wait, there. Why is it doing this? I'll close it and do it again. Okay. Share screen. Share what the heck is going on? Whatever. Doesn't want me to optimize. Are you seeing it? Yeah. And now if I go like this, you'll see that, right? And now I'll go like this, and we'll watch a quick, this is like 7 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
What's the best way to get lean, build muscle mass, and drop body fat as a busy dad?
All right, Central Region and many others who might watch this, Cutco Mike here. I know many of you are starting your SC2 conference today, or push, or maybe you're about to start it in the next few days or week. But I just want to share some thoughts with you about, what it takes to really lead during these 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks. So if you are a manager or in a leadership position and you are not exactly the one selling, I really encourage you to bring your energy at 150,000%, because when you light yourself up on fire, people will watch. And when your team and the people in your office and community see you have this energy, it's just contagious, right? And motion breeds emotion, and emotion always leads to change, right? Whether it's good or bad. So when you're on phone calls, when you're on Zoom calls, when you're sending out texts, lead with love, but also lead with some challenge, right? And courage and bravery, and don't be afraid to push people, because my belief is you either push them up or you'll naturally push them out, which both are benefits to them, right? So if you push them up, they're going to grow, they're going to be challenged, they're going to embark on new chapters of life, they're going to see things happen that never would have happened to them, right, at a job. And if you push them, and you push them a little too hard, and you realize that it pushes them out, well, you did the best thing for them, right? You gave them an opportunity to take the door of change, the door of challenge, the door of opportunity, and they chose the door of, hey, it's not for me, right? So send them out with love, say thank you for your efforts. If you're getting ghost texted or not replied to, obviously take the higher road, take the higher horse, and use this period to grow in a way you've never been challenged before. Be like a rubber band. If you're stretched, you're effective, right? A rubber band doesn't work if it's just limp, right? So stretch yourself and be like that rubber band. And then if you're a rep, or you're a new salesperson, or you're a veteran salesperson, rally your team and your customers and your family around this. You'll notice that I always share my goals, my countdown, what I'm trying to do every single day, multiple times a day. The more people that hear your story, the more people it's going to reach, the more potential referrals you'll get, the more random people wanting to support you in this. But it can't just be like, hey, I want to sell 15,000. Why? Why do you want to sell this amount? Is it for school? Is it for family? Is it for your kids? Is it for, something you went through that you want to grow from and overcome? Share those pictures, share that testimony, write it out, go on Facebook Live. Don't just say it once. It's just like you take one shot, you're not going to win the game. Like, you got to be top of mind, repetition. And during the push, you're going to have, and I'm sure your managers say this, but you're going to have 4 great days, 4 wild card days, you're going to have 4 crappy days, and then 4 average days. And there's always a miracle day in there, and that's usually the last day. When you push yourself to the end, you push yourself to the very last day, you have a breakthrough that's about to happen, and something crazy always happens on that last day if you put forth the effort to the final seconds. And while you're selling, sell for the customer's interest in mind, not yours. Even though it's easy to get wrapped around a number, I went a period where I went 1 for 11 because I was so caught up in the number of, hey, I have to sell this per day. Don't worry about that. Focus on interactions, focus on communication, focus on top of mind awareness, focus on referrals, focus on getting more people to think about Cutco and think about you. The more you do that, the more it blossoms, right? When you're showing Cutco, don't be afraid to ask, hey, how many of those would you like? Hey, I know you said you mentioned you might want it later or next year. Would you be open to hearing a crazy deal just to hear about it? You can say no. If I could just show it to you, you might realize it's not that much more. And then always drop it on the easy pay, stretch it out as long as possible, and just say the word, hey, it's only, $100 more a month, only $200 a month, it's only $500 a month, it's only $1,000 a month, but for 5 months, right? No interest. And you have it forever. Don't be afraid to add on those programs, right? Hey, how's your cookware? How's your flatware? How's your gift situation? How's your mats? How's your accessories? Do you own a business? Do you appreciate customers? Do you want to appreciate your boss? Do you want to appreciate family or friends? It's not just, hey, do you want a couple knives? Show them the whole Rolodex of the Cutco catalog and portfolio. And then, don't be afraid to say, hey, today is the day, right? The excitement's the highest, the energy's the highest. You're in that mindset of finishing the mission, right? So if you were on a mission, you're not going to stop and restart the mission in 2 weeks. let your customers know. Say, hey, I'm not trying to be pushy or desperate, but the prices are going up. There's no better time to get Cutco than now. Help me break through. Help me be a part of history. Help me achieve greatness, and make it happen, guys. So have fun. Number one thing, always have fun. If you have to fire yourself at night, that is fine. Just rehire yourself in the morning. And if you're sitting around, you're missing out on sales, you're missing out on interactions, you're missing out on that next crazy Cutco dream client story. So always be either on the phone, on a Zoom, on a...
Write that down. Write these 4 things down. He's like, always be on the phone, always be at a meeting, on a Zoom, right? Whatever. Or
Facebook message, on a text message, in front of a customer. Or if you can't do that, be studying, you know, the stuff you're not great at. Study those programs.
That's extraordinary effort, right? On the phone, on a meeting, in some manner, shape, or form, learning, or on a demo in front of a customer, or like he said, like being marketing when it comes to like mentioning stuff on Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Programs and products that maybe you need to get a little bit more polished up at, or listen to a Vector Connect talk. So have fun, and good luck, everybody. God bless.
Oh my gosh, Mike, I love you. All right, turn off. Is this ad gonna play? I'll just do this. Okay, good. All right, so simple pushes, right? So again, sniffing out orders, understanding that, you know, if you just, what's your average order? You can look at your average order on Vector Connect, right? And say, all right, my average order is this. Most people increase their, just so you know, most people increase their average order by 20% during the push. That's not that crazy. It's a $400 order turning into $480. I don't think that's a very hard, you know, strive, you know, whatever you want to call it, right? Hard. It's not a hard stride. A $500 order turns into a $600 order. That's cool. You know, and that you do that times 30, 40 orders, and now you sold an extra 3 or 4 or 5 grand, right? And a lot of times it's just because you're taking the job seriously versus what you were doing before. What he's like, if you're sitting around, you're going to miss out on all the stories, right? When Nick sold 13 grand on 12 of his orders, or whatever the number was, it's like 13 grand on 14 orders, or 13 grand on 12 orders, or whatever, those big orders, those were sweet. One of them was my former division manager who has had his office in the suite across the parking lot, that stopped selling Cutco in 1999, moved to St. George, done 3 or 4 other businesses since then, and he bought 1 or 2 sets of flatware on 1 demo from Nick. By the way, he's bought from me over the last 2 decades multiple times, and I give him a good deal, but he bought from Nick. And I was like, awesome. I wasn't mad about it, although how many of you would be like, are you freaking crazy, Phil? You just lost on 2 flatware shots. Are you dumb? Right? But I felt really glad that it happened. And it couldn't have happened to any harder worker that push period than Nick. Right? Because he was out there doing more demos than anybody else. That summer, he was number 2 in the entire region for the push and number 1 in our division by a lot. But he was the only one that completed the number of demos, right? That he said he was going to do. Well, there's probably other people that completed the number, but he had a little more skills and his number was higher than most people, right? And you'd be surprised, you get those 40, 50 demos done. You're like, oh, I sold a lot more than I thought I would, right? But again, he also mentioned, he's like, he breathed and he's like, have fun. Do you remember that? Why do you say that? Because he also told you a story where he went 1 for 11 in a push. Why do we think he went 1 for 11 at some point? Yeah, Will.
He was focusing on his daily goal of trying to get a certain amount of money he needed to make each day. So he was getting down on himself saying, I didn't make this certain amount today. I'm not going to make it tomorrow.
Right. So he was behind his goal in his mind. And so please write this down. You're never off track as long as you're working. Now, if you're not working, you're off track, dude. You're just not going to hit the goal. But as long as you're working, you are never off track. That's true in school. It's true in like marriage. It's true in like a lot of things. It's true in business. You're never off track as long as you're working. If you sit around and, you know, cry in your tears and drown in your tears, or whatever you want to say it, however you want to say it, wallow in your misery or something, you're going to have a hard time. right? You're going to have a bad time, to quote, is it South Park that used to say that all the time? You're going to have a bad time, okay? But on the other hand, as long as you're working towards a worthy goal, which is something you need to make sure you have in your mind, like you have your goal, your standard of demos you're going to do, and you have that CPO goal. You need to have both. You can never be like, I'm just going to do 50 demos, whatever happens, happens. Because I've seen people fail miserably and waste the company's money and their time and a whole lot of customers' times. Like, it is so annoying to do a demo and not buy. On a customer side of it, they're like, but why did they not buy? Because the rep was so fizzled on their own little world. They weren't even like paying attention to the customer. It's like, they're like, are we done yet? Like, that's not a fun demo because the customer and the rep aren't connected, right? You got to be like really fun and totally in it to help the customer and like your enthusiasm has got to be at an all-time like huge level so that they know that you think they should buy, not because you want them to buy, not because you need them to buy. That's the worst, right? But to think I need to buy because Parker needs money. I don't want to buy Cutco, right? I want to buy because Parker's freaking fired up about these knives and he knows I should own them. By the way, have you ever done this? And there's just this one lady who just zero, just none. They're just like, you could be talking to a wall, you'd be having more fun. Yes or yes? I'm looking at Parker directly because he's done more demos than anyone else in the room this summer. Okay. And you've had that? Awesome. You still alive? Do you still have good paychecks? Yeah. Are you still pretty excited what you've made so far? Oh, yeah. Like, we're all going to have that lady. By the way, you'll have more of those ladies. You'll have way more of those ladies when you actually do 50 demos. You're going to have more poopy faced, dumb ladies who don't buy from you and you want to wring their neck through the Zoom. Like, you're like, you freaking dummy and I hate you, right? Like, you're going to feel that way. Don't say that and don't, like, don't really. Okay. Some of you guys are like going to write in a journal some evil lady list, okay, or something. But I'm going to say a voodoo doll list, right? Okay. But at the same time, what are you going to have? You're going to have the opposite end of that spectrum. These, what did he say? He said it in passing in the video. He's like, you're going to have the dream client stories. That's what he called it. A dream client story where you showed up. They're like, I want 40 essential sets. 40 essential sets. And you're going to calmly go, this is what I was talking about. This is what Phil was talking about. This is what Mike Dowd was talking about. The dream client story, right? I remember when Sandy Hershey bought $15,000 on one order from Emily on gifts for her grandkids. She's a lady who lives in St. George. I still know her name. She's not my customer. I still know her name because that was a fired up order. And I had to help Emily with a couple of little things. You know what I mean? Like figuring out some details. And Sandy sold $15,000 on her, Sandy bought $15,000 CPO. That means she bought 20 some, you know what CPO looks like compared to when they pay for shipping and, or pay for tax and, you know, all the stuff. That's $25,000 that she like threw down. And it was 100% for grandkids, the whole order. She's already a Cutco fanatic, right? But she laid down all that cash on one order. You'll have that if you made enough phone calls. And you won't if you don't. So I'm looking at everyone in the office here, but you know, the bottom line is if you set up all the demos, what might be crazy is that you might do 40, 50 demos, you might sell 10 grand, and then you have like 5 grand or 10 grand magically appear because of all the effort you put into the miracle equation. It literally is a miracle equation. Now, miracles in this world are often, in my opinion, earned. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like when did the US hockey team, the movie Miracle, did the US hockey team drink and screw around and not work their butt off? Or did Herb Brooks like freaking work their tails off and like bend their souls to stop worrying about themselves and start worrying about, I play for the United States. My name's not whatever. It's like, my name's this person, but I play for the United States. And, you know, remember that whole scene and the whole thing? It was not, they didn't get lucky beating the Russians. Right place, right time, but all the preparation is what made them make it happen. Okay. And so you want to earn the miracles. In the book, The Miracle Equation, which I will open up and read to you guys at some point in the next few weeks, He tells about being a miracle maven. Jot that down. A miracle maven. It's a term from a book called The Tipping Point, if you ever heard of it. And you could look it up. And you had miracle mavens or mavens that you were exposed to in high school. And some of you are probably like, this, that was me, Phil. The maven is the dude who like, or girl, who's like straight A, like good student, National Honor Society, and good at sports, and good at church, and good at scouts, and good at this, social, date, you know, like, and you're just like, do you guys know that person? Or you've probably, some of you have been that person at certain points, right? And it's not because you're lazy and farting around, because that same person is stressed a lot because they're like, I got this, and then I got to go to this. I only have 20 minutes to do this, and then I have this, and I got to eat, and I got to do this, and I got to do this. And they put it all on their plate. In other words, they're pushing themselves. They actually choose success. They choose the miracle, right? Over the mediocrity. Again, I'm selling you, I hope, on like, push yourself, dude. Right? That's like, it's not like I'm selling you, but I hope you understand that this is why, you know, the push is worth it when it's not forced on you, right? The push is worth it when it's not forced on you. One of the things I heard today on a Zoom that I watched a recording of was our region manager talking to one of the assistant managers in the Johnson County office. I talked about this earlier today, but he's like, you need to get sleep. And you need to eat really healthy, because energy is one of the biggest factors of why someone will do well in a test. It's why they'll do well is sometimes in dating. How many of you guys ever found that like sleeplessness has caused you to make some dumb decisions? It's caused you to do dumb things. It's caused you to think silly, crazy things, right? It's literally a lack of sleep. What's the number one form of, the first form of torture in military prisons? It's sleep deprivation. Then they go food, water, you know, and then they start hitting you. But like, that's number 4, because it doesn't hurt that much. You're like, whatever, he hit me. You're played football, you're done. Like, you can live. It's like, you know what I mean? You stub your toe, you keep walking. Like, you're over it. But if you're tired, hungry, maybe sick, you know, and then they're beating you, yeah, you'll break down pretty fast, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about torture in the SC2 push. Okay, but you know, all right. But the fact is, guys, if you're pushing yourself, you need to treat your body that houses your brain and your heart and your soul. You need to treat your body really nicely. Okay, so it's like, go to the store, drop $40 on some really good energy bars, like protein bars, right? Buy some good food. And if you ever do an extra value, if you ever go like fast food, you're like in between, sorry, I'm archaic. We used to go to people's homes all the time, every demo. But, you know, if we were in that situation, it was literally, I told all my reps, I'm like, don't you dare order fries. I'm going to tell you all, lay off fries for 17 days. Don't buy fried food, right? If you need a protein boost, yeah, get a small burger. You know what I mean? Not a freaking gob of a huge thing. Right? Get that, you know, $2, $1, not that any of it's healthy, but it's you know, you get a jab of protein, right? Get the energy bars, get the, not energy drinks. It's the worst thing you can buy is energy drinks. Don't buy energy drinks. Okay. It's overhydrate. Let me say it that way. Overhydrate yourself. Hydrate to yourself where you're like, I am going to pee my pants in this demo. And I peed when I started the demo before. Like I peed, I turned on my laptop or I opened it up, and now I have to pee and I'm only on the freaking galley set. That's where you want to be, where you're overhydrated. You're not going to be falling asleep, by the way. Does everyone get that? Like, you know, standing more often, by the way, matters too. Standing versus sitting. Okay. As I'm like sitting in a division meeting here. Okay. So some other things. Okay. Join the alliance. If you haven't said to yourself, Rain, which I don't think that's Rain, Jacob, Jonathan, right? Courtney, Max, if you haven't said, I am in, if Nathan can't just say, look, I'm just going to show up. I'll run earlier. I'll do what I need to do. Or if I can't make that 7:30, I will 100% be at the 9 o'clock. I can wake up 20 minutes early and I can run longer earlier. It's colder, it's cooler anyway. I might as well. Okay. Viviana, you make a decision. You join the alliance. And again, you make your blue and orange schedule. I can't stress it up. You have to make it for all 17 days. In other words, you need to know all the things that might come up, right? The alliance, just like the Avengers here. What movie is that? Is that Endgame or one of these? I have no idea what movie that is. Is it Endgame or is it the one before that? It's the one before. Okay, cool. All right. I'm still on Iron Man 3. But anyway, find your averages, right? That's the average order, the closing percentage, the phone. You should know. Because if you can dial it back to how many phone calls you have to make, you're actually gonna have an easy push. There's no emotional attachment. You can say, I didn't do 50 demos. Yeah, because I didn't make 746 phone calls. That's what I knew I needed to make. And I had 17 days to make 700 phone calls. Because if you can take your total, sales goal, divide it by your average order, take your average order, divide that by your closing percentage, take your closing percentage, divide it by the number of demos you do, and you take your phone percentage and say, I just need to make this many phone calls to get this many demos. And if this many demos gives me this many sales, this many orders, this average order, boom, I'm there. Because the phone calls is the one thing you can 100% control. In Sunday school yesterday, one of my good friends who taught the lesson, he talked about how we were talking about kids and, and he's like, well, you can control certain things. And I didn't pipe up, but I wanted to, but I'll say it now. You cannot control who's going to buy. You can't control what kid's going to brush their teeth, what kid's going to do something stupid. You can't control your kids. You can only influence. How many of you are like, yeah, my parents could not control me, but they could influence me pretty well. For some of my time, they could punish me and take things away. Then I got old enough, they couldn't even take anything away from me. But they can still influence you, right? Same thing. You cannot control closing percentage. You can't control average order, but you can influence it. You can be at every division meeting. You can be at every function, learn how to sell Cutco. You can control by asking questions. You can control, not control. You can control the averages by influencing the learning and your part of the equation. And the number one thing you can always control is the number of phone calls you make. Because nobody can stop you making phone calls, right? And if you just make the phone calls, you're going to have the results. And again, converse with mom and dad and friends and family and loved ones and say, look, dude, give me 17 days. I'll see you on Sunday for half a day or all day or whatever. And then it's 15 days. And that's cool. You can do 45 demos, 30, 50 demos in 15 days, right? If you want to take Sundays off. Okay. You got to have those numbers. If you're on this meeting right now and you don't have 200 numbers and names, then that's your first thing that you can influence. That's it. You can do that though. And then we used to teach that because we weren't on Zoom doing appointments virtually. We used to say you need to have page 8, 9, and 17, which was the referrals page, memorized. You memorize it anyway, right? Memorize it and then have these big old fat phone jams. It's each weekend you got to book a huge. Now, if you are in this room right now, or if you're on Zoom and you did not make I'll show you this. I got to show you this. I'm still showing screens. If I do this, does everyone see this right now? And it has like a agenda for a conference. Okay. So it's right here. No, it's over here. All right. It's right there, I think. No, right. Okay. No, it's over here. I know where it is. It's this one. No, it's right there. There it is. I showed you this morning. Here's the top office in the company. It's a $4 million office. Our biggest year is almost $2 million, 1.2. This is a $4 million office, okay? And they just have a crap ton of CSPs. But the 10 people on the Alliance in Minneapolis, the 10 people, they booked 21 demos an hour, every single hour on Sunday, took a 3-hour break, did whatever, who knows what they did. Probably something because they got their energy up by going out and doing something. I guarantee they did something physical. And then they did 3 demos per person, 3 demos per person, 3 demos, 3 demos. So you take 5 times 2 and 3 times 4. That's 22 demos per person exactly, right? You guys see that? 22 demos per person. And you can see the top people in every office. One person did book 35, one person 20, one person 21. Here's someone else. This meeting that we're in right now it just ended an hour ago in the Minneapolis, in their division. So everyone's having this meeting today. The push starts tomorrow. And if you're feeling behind right now, go ahead and raise your hand. You're like, I don't have 20 demos. Well, then that's what you need to realize. That was your first quote mistake or decision that you made, because indecision is a decision. Inaction is still a decision. I didn't work enough on my names list. I didn't make enough phone calls. I should have committed. I didn't even look at the dang schedule. I didn't even realize that it was Friday. That's why you're where you're at, right? And that's great. That's awesome. I love it if you don't have 15 or 20 demos booked right now, because you're the first person that can influence that. And it's really cool to see why maybe you're not on track to hit something, right? Maybe you're not on track, but you're certainly on cross country. Okay. All right. So yeah, 2 of you got that. I'll be here all night. Okay. All right. So in case of emergency, what do you do if you get ditched? What? Yeah, make calls. Another thing you can do is double book. If you're in a position where you're like, I've actually got most of my demos full, I'm going to tell you right now, book 1 or 2 double every day. You can never stop phoning, and it'll never be enough. And what I mean by that is, like, if you have 5 slots open and you book 5 demos, book a 6th. And it's book it in between or on top of the most doubtful demo you have. I booked that demo like 5 days ago. I'm going to book another demo right now. And you know what? Here's what I'll tell you. Your customers are never like crushed when they can't do a demo with you. They're not like, oh, you took someone else over me, Rain? Oh my gosh. Like, they're not disappointed. Hey, something came up. Can I reschedule? That's what they do to you. Right? So it's like, it's not the end of the world if something comes up, and something coming up could have been you booking 2 demos on top of one another. And that's not a bad idea. The other thing is you can do your homework, a couple of you. Another thing is you can window schedule. Window schedule is you take and book your 5, and then you tell 2 other people, hey, let's plan on between 2 and 3:30. You don't give them an exact time. The cable guy doesn't. Doctors say, well, show up at 4, but you'll probably get, 4:45 is when you'll meet with the doctor, right? So like, there's kind of a window schedule, and they say the repairman, the dishwasher repairman, he says, oh, somewhere between 4 and 5, I'll be there. You can book it that way and say, hey, can you make sure you're there? Okay, I'm going to plan somewhere between 4 and 5. I think it'll be like 4 o'clock, but just in case, somewhere between 4 and 5. They're like, okay, because that way, if you're early, because you get done with the demo early, or someone ditches you, you're early. Or if you get done late because you got a lot of referrals and you crushed it, or whatever, then you show up a little later and no one's mad about it. So you can have 7 demos booked on a 5 demo day. And I guarantee you'll do more demos having booked 7 versus 5. Okay. Again, this is only if and only if, that's a mathematical term, but if and only if you've done your job to book all the other demos, right? And then it's nothing wrong with double booking or window scheduling. Obviously, when you get judged, you all said phone time. I hope the number 1 and number 2 are like, oh, those are good ideas too, right? But also more phone calls. Remember, demos are a hindrance to your CPO. Demos are a hindrance to getting more phone time in. You want phoning to be more important. Next would be go to the office, go to the manager, call your manager, reorganize, prioritize, work on your names list. You guys have a top 20 tab on your workbooks, right? So what you can do is just copy it. Make a new tab with another new top 20 and make it top 40, right? Have your top 40 customers always typed out. And some of you guys are like, why would I type it on my spreadsheet if I already have them in my phone? Why would I even I don't call from my computer. Why would I type it into my computer? The answer is, I told you this morning at 7:30 a.m. I said, I was happier today. Like, I literally said, I was happy, and I wrote it down right here. I was happy because I had a plan and I had a focus. And it's like, if I know my plan is to call these 30 people, I'm a heck of a lot happier calling them. Like, all right, I'm prioritizing these 30 people, these 40 people. I'm just going to make calls, and I'm going to call until I'm done. I'm not going to call because I'm tired. I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to call and call and call until I have to go to my first demo. But even sometimes I would say ditch a demo and make 30 more phone calls. You'll get more demos booked. And you can always reschedule a demo. See, once you have a demo, can't you reschedule it? But if you don't have any demos, the only thing you can do is phone. So you might as well phone your butt off, right? All the time. Stay off Instagram and Facebook and every social media. I also said that this morning too, didn't I? I'm like, I was happier because I didn't look at Instagram. I forgot it was Trina's birthday today because I didn't look at Facebook before I got my day started. Usually I'll take a glance. I'm like, oh, he's got a birthday. I'll You know, that, so I feel bad that that happened to me today, and I forgot one of my manager's birthdays for an hour or two. But it actually still kept me off social media. So in the end, it was actually probably better for me. And now Trina's just sad. She's crying. Okay, so that's awesome. Okay. But you know, I did call her. Oh, that was awesome. Okay, so all right. Okay, he was just fiddling. Okay, and then number 7, what did Mike Dowd say? He's like, just listen to a talk on Vector Connect, or listen to a podcast. Listen to a talk or listen to a podcast. If you haven't already done this, we talked about it the other day, didn't we? Go to episode 3. What is it right there? Covered up. 246. Push period excellence of Changing Lives Selling Knives podcast. ChangingLivesPodcast.com. You can see it right there. ChangingLivesPodcast.com. Okay. So that's the website. But then the one you want to listen to is Brandon Brown. He sold $100,000 as a rep in a push, right? And I don't know if that was with or without business orders, but it's still $100,000. Okay. So if you think, and then the funny in the episode, right, Parker, he goes, Dan, the host, goes, you know, Brandon, most of the people that are listening to this are not going for $100,000. They're going for like $15,000 or 10 or 20 grand, right? And he still gave the great tips, right? He still gave great tips. Okay. Listen to best, most inspiring music. Who's your go-to person? Your manager should be one of them, if not the person, right? What if you have a no sale? Call your manager, right? PDI again, in between appointments. Ask for a tip. Sounds like PDI to me. Field train. Viviana went on a field train with Parker the other day. You sold a homemaker with Viviana watching. Did you feel like you wanted to do a better demo?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It helped you do a better demo. Lo and behold, you sold a homemaker. So you should all go on demos with each other. What's that? What's that? Oh yeah, you get to mark your field train. How many field trains have you done? Just one. There you go. We marked it for you, apparently. Okay, good. Listen to an audio file, study your manual in between appointments, do an affirmation, right? Do an affirmation. You can take a look at those for sure. And right now I won't. Okay. And by the way, I love this number 8. It's like, remember I said today, be grateful. It's kind of like, remember, you've sold a lot of Cutco and no sale is not going to kill you. Third world problems versus first world problems. You know, first world problems like, oh, I'm in America. Oh, and people bought less knives than I wanted them to today. Oh, like it's like the most you can do is go, oh, because you freaking hit the genetic, political, geographical lottery living in America. It's awesome, right? Even if you're mad at America for whatever they've done. Okay. President and the Supreme Court and the senators and policemen gave me a ticket. Okay, so that you were breaking the law. Okay, so and evaluate what could you do better. Don't beat yourself up, but say, what could I have done better? That's great. You should talk through that with your manager, by the way, because you're going to say, well, I should have done this. And you're like, no, you shouldn't. Your manager will be like, no, you shouldn't have done that. You should have done that. You're like, oh, that's better. Okay, so talk to your manager about that. Okay, again, you're never off track if you're working. But if you let your pedal off the metal, if you let your foot off the gas, right, then you can go off track pretty fast, right? But you just got to keep those 3 things: extraordinary effort, unwavering faith until the very last moment. And again, at the end of that push period, at the end of those growth experiences that we referenced earlier, right? What was it? It was always like, it felt awesome. Like I was a better me because of that experience. It was awesome, right? And someone else that shared it with you was like, they were better because they pushed through it, or the person they were talking about did. Okay. And I didn't bring my book here, so that's why I'm not going to read that story. I was like, I'll read it to you later because I realized already I didn't bring it. Okay. Okay. Successful reps. I'm going to do about 5, 6, 8 more minutes on this, and we'll go to something else. Successful representatives manage expectations. In other words, what happens, you might expect or desire better results. So I want you to like not just think, because I came to these meetings, I'm automatically going to sell cookware and flatware. right? Because I did XYZ, I'm automatically due. Although the funny thing is that's a miracle maven. They're actually due a straight A average. They're actually due a state championship. They're actually due things like that happen to the people that actually do all the work. So you can, to a certain degree, demand, so to speak, call, what is it? Strive and seek for miracles, right? Like that's called the miracle equation, right? Well, anyway, you want to manage expectations. Like sometimes you're gonna have your down days. What are the expectations? Let me go back and say that a third of your days are going to be what? Really, really awesome CPO days. Really, really, if you're working, you'll have a third of your days that are just like, whoa, I sold $2,000, I sold $3,000, you sold $2,800 on Thursday, right? But you've also been working, right? So it makes sense. A third of your day is going to be like medium. You sell 500, you sell 1,000, you sell 700. You're like, all right, I made $200 today, $100 today. I made some money, right? I'm exhausted. Oh, I'm so tired, right? But you'll be like, I only made 100 or 200, but you should like count your blessings and be like, I actually did make a lot of money today. It was so funny. I used to get pissed off because I had high expectations, and I would struggle mentally because I'd come home and I'd tell my wife or I'd tell my mom, like, stupid customers, freaking hate them. Oh, and I was like, I only sold $700 again, first world problems, right? But I was like, only selling. You're like, do you want to quit? I'm like, no, I made $350 today. Like I had to like remember that I made $300 having that crappy day. How many of you guys would love to have a crappy day and make it $300 that day? That's like, that was awesome, right? But you're like, when you have high goals, you need that switch sometimes in your brain. Manage expectations. Again, the third are awesome, the third are medium, and the third are low CPO days. Can I remember that? Call it the character building day. Call it the character building day. Character building days matter. Purpose. What's purpose? It's like a dolphin, anyway, no, a purpose is like your whys. It's your whys. What are you going after? Okay. And why are you going after it? Sorry. Why are you going after that? And then what is it? It's action. It's daily decisions. Daily, like, no snooze button. I'm telling you, one of the leading causes of like, one of the leading tools of like the devil is, no joke, besides social media and your phones and everything, it's literally the snooze button. It's been around forever. And the first decision you make in the day is to go against the decision you made when you went to bed. You set an alarm and you said, this is when I need to wake up in order to get to this, to do this, to everything for the day. And the first decision you make is to go against that decision. That's the worst thing you could do. So I'm going to tell you, do not hit the snooze button for the rest of your life, please. Just set the alarm and get up. Yes? I know. You would turn the snooze button off? Yes, make it unavailable. Do whatever you have to do. A side tip is do not use your phone as your alarm if you are the person in this Zoom, which is like half of you, that you know that you hit the snooze button, right? Because what do? You don't even charge your phone. The phone goes dead in the middle of the night because you're on social media too late doing whatever. And then you wake up in the morning. Sorry, you didn't wake up in the morning. You woke up in the afternoon. Okay. Like that's, I'm telling you, just don't use your phone, because that way, if it does die, it doesn't matter. Go to DI and spend $2 and get a crappy old 1980s alarm clock. It's the greatest thing you can do for yourself. Right. And definitely don't use Alexa as your alarm either, because you tell her to shut up in the morning. Okay. So don't use Alexa. Don't use Siri. Just go buy a clunky old crappy alarm clock that works, by the way. Okay. It needs to work. Okay. It's a side. I hope some of you are like deciding to spend $2 on an alarm clock. Okay. Learn from your setbacks, right? It's part of life, and don't be mad about it. Don't be bitter. Right, when you have a low sales day or a low phone jam or whatever. And play all out. Play all out, man. That's what good reps do. Let me go ahead and take a second. And I'm going to say, listen, guys, we're building the greatest division that's ever existed in the Intermountain division right now. And I don't want to mince words about that. I'm looking at some of you and I'm like, she's running an office, he's running an office, this person already. And you don't even know if you're like, whatever, Phil, right? But I'm going to tell you right now, that's fine if that's you. That's totally fine. I don't know that I can only influence, I can't control, right? Does everyone understand that? But I'm going to tell you, you heard about Jesse talking about that. And if you think branch manager sounds cool, I was a branch manager and it was freaking amazing. I told you the story. I can still remember my first 7 reps, the top 7 reps from that summer. We recruited almost 300 people that summer, right? Something like that. Okay. And we did more business the next summer. I don't remember every person from that summer. I remember some of them, but I don't remember that many. I can't just like pop them off. And if I look at every summer, I could remember if someone said the name, I'm like, I know who, I know all their stories, right? I remember them, but I can't just like name my top 7 reps from any summer except for that summer. So that was my branch summer, but I've run an office since 1999, every summer. And I've trained a crap ton of people, and I've trained top 20 branch managers, people that made $20,000, $30,000 in their summer as a manager. And I tell you right now, I've trained even, well, not as many, but I've trained a lot of district managers that have made 6-figure income in a year. As a district manager, they traveled the globe, had amazing, and I built a family of, 7 kids. I don't mind telling you, we bought and sold houses, bought and sold cars, and bought and sold, I had textbooks because I did school for a little while when I was a district manager. That was really hard to do. Okay. And because it's a career step and you're doing a career job, right? And so I did a lot of stuff, every diaper, every cell phone, every freaking peanut butter and jelly sandwich that I've owned since 1994, essentially has been paid for with vector marketing. Right. And I freaking love that job. And I did it for 15 years as a district manager before I was promoted to be a division manager. And I literally, all my kids were all born when I was a district manager. And then I became a division manager and I love my job even more. And the district manager opportunity is way better than it was in 1999 when I got promoted. Like what the company does for our district managers, driving BMWs and freaking, some of the trips and some of the cool things, the money that they get. I got $1,200 to open my office. Our district managers get $22,000 to be just as like a signing bonus. It's a pretty awesome deal, right? And I'm going off for a second because I wanted to just build a little this much more. If you think branch sounds cool, I loved my job as a district manager for 15 years building a family, and I didn't have the same opportunity that our district managers have today because the program is better than it was then. And I still loved it. And then I love my job as a division manager, but I also love, if I was just a district manager, I'm like, this is pretty cool, right? And I tell you that because for us to do what we're going to do, which is to be a top 20 division in the company within the next 3 years, and to do over $5 million in CPO in a year in a division, right? Which there's like 7 to 10 divisions in the whole company that do that right now in this year, right? For example, we want to be at that level in 2 years. That means we have to go from where we're at to that. I'm not going to sell all that. I'm not going to train all those managers. As a division manager, I'm going to have a hand in all of that. But as a district manager, Jesse gets to take as big of that piece of pie and train as many people who they want to take as big of that piece of pie as possible. Because if someone wants to do 300 grand as a branch and make $60,000 or $80,000 in a summer as a branch manager, as a college kid, they can do that. And that person could be sitting in this room, on this Zoom, whatever, right now. But they have to do the work. They can't control, but they can influence it. And as their partner, and as Jesse's could be their partner, or if you're in my office, Shay and I are your partners, right? To help you get that. Shay could be that person too, by the way, right? And I'm going to tell you, for us to build to that level, I'm going to tell you the exact same things, Jonathan, that you would need to do to have a really great push. I'm trying to fix my screen here. Share the dang screen, would you? Oh, that button. The same exact things, Jonathan, that makes you have a good push are the exact same things that will make you a tremendous leader in life and a tremendous branch and district manager. It's vision, it's purpose, it's daily effort, daily work, learning from setbacks. Do you think business owners need to learn from setbacks? Do you think lawyers who get into the ground level of some firm need to learn from their setbacks when they lose a case, whatever, right? Do police officers learn from things that happen in their department or in their daily, what they do, right? Do doctors have to learn a whole bunch in order to not, to become a high level ranking cancer, surgeon or whatever it is, brain surgeon? They have to learn the whole way. They have to go through all this. And by the way, it's life. So if you want to be a better surgeon someday, if you want to be a better accountant someday, if you want to be a mother, father, whatever, for the rest of your life, pushing now makes you become a better anything you ever want to do. And again, intensity, the last thing, right? Intensity. Those things are exactly what you're going to need to do well beyond the push. But learning them now, and I'm going to say it this way, crying through the setbacks, calling your manager, telling them you want to quit, or telling her you want to quit, being a manager and telling your division manager that you want to quit. That's what we expect you to do. But that's called learning from your mistakes. That's called pushing all the way. It's called the miracle equation, right? It literally is the miracle equation. It's all the way through. Extraordinary effort, unwavering faith, never giving up until the very last moment. And when you hit a goal, you can say, yeah, I knew that would happen. Not 100%, but I really felt like I did all the work. I got the names. I did this. I did that. And you know what? I had a huge push. Again, on an individual level. You know what? We need you guys. We need you. We don't need you to survive. We need you to hit our goals. Meaning, in order for us to become what we want to become over the next few years, and whether you're going to be here in a few years or whether you're going to be here just for this year, we still need you to help us achieve a level of success this year to next, right? And again, to take as much of that piece of pie as possible over the next few years, right? Let alone a few weeks of a push period. How many of you guys feel like you're going to be alive at the end of July 30th? Like, you feel like you're going to be alive? Do you want to be the same you, or do you want to be a new, improved, better version of you? Is everyone with me on that? And then if you feel like you're going to be there in a month, how about 2 months? Do you want to be a lesser version of yourself, or do you want to be maybe a little better? Who wants to be happier in the month? Who wants to be happier in 2 months? Who wants to be smarter in 2 months? Does anyone here want to be dumber? No? Okay, right? So you get my point. It's silly to make the point, but like, I think in 10 years, I want to be a better version of me. And I'm not talking just, in one category. I would hope that most of you are like, I'd like to be a little stronger, a little smarter, a little faster. I don't know, right? Maybe, you age and things change, right? But my point is, right, it's not infinite, okay? Although then again, it is kind of. But the point is, like, I just want to get a little better. The book Atomic Habits has been quoted in a number of different circles I hang with lately, and he talks about being 1% better, 1% better. Well, 17 days later, could you be 17% better than you are today? Spiritual thought for you. Okay. It's a long freaking quote, and it's credited to William Hutchinson Murray, climbed Mount Everest. It's also credited to William von Goethe, German philosophist, if I'm not mistaken. But I think I've read this once already, and I want to read it again. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy. It's not a maybe. There really is hesitancy. The chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness, concerning all states and acts of initiative and creation. There's one elementary truth, that the ignorance of that truth kills dreams, hopes, ideas, and splendid plans. It kills it in the infancy. Right? How many of you guys ever had that thought? I should do this, I should do that. Never did you take an action, and you did not do that thing. It's something as simple as, I should buy my wife flowers. I should tell my kids this. I should tell my mom this. Who's ever had that? I should say thank you to my mom. And then you freaking didn't. Yes or yes? I have, right? And what is the reason you didn't? Because you have to be committed. The moment one definitely commits himself or herself, then Providence, not the city in Rhode Island, moves too, okay? All sorts of miracle equation stuff occurs to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. You will not run into that 40 essential set customer, which is, I've never had that either. But you won't run into the 5 homemaker customer that I have had. You won't run into the company who buys $50,000 of Cutco from you on 4 orders, which I have had. But it took me 28 years, well, 23 years to get that customer, right? And she bought once a year over 5 years she bought 4 orders over 5 years. And that's really cool. And it's great when that phone call happens, but the rest of the time, it took a lot of work to just be in a position where that stuff happened, right? A whole stream of events, issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and demos and phone calls and material and lists of referrals that magically come. One lady gives you 69 referrals and you're like, my life has just been made, right? The last week and a half of my push is going to be freaking crushing it with this list because she lives in this area, or whatever, right? You know what you're going to think and do about that. Material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would have come his way. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. Now, the last 3 sentences, whatever it says, whatever, from whatever to the end is like the cool little thing on the, Successories poster, the meme on, it's the meme, right? Those last 3 sentences, you've probably read that before. But I think way more important than those last 3 sentences is the beginning. This stuff up top, right? The ignorance of not realizing that you have to be committed. That's where it really comes in. The stuff down at the bottom is a spiritual thought. You cry about it. You put a little painting behind it, right? But the bottom line is commitment is what really will make your change. Will change. Commitment to being to not having to get rid of bad habits. Getting rid of bad habits. Smokers. I've got a brother-in-law. He smokes. Drives me crazy, right? He's like, maybe I can quit this time. Maybe I can quit this time. Every time he talks about it, and he's 3 days, 2 days, 5 weeks, and he's always going back because the decision hasn't been made. You guys know someone like that? Did you just point to yourself? Okay, yeah, he just pointed to himself. That's awesome, right? Because you know that, and now you're learning to get committed, right? You're learning to get committed. This fires me up. It inspires me. Okay. By the way, Walgreens and I never had this conversation. Okay. I almost feel like we're done. I don't even know what's showing on the screen. Okay. Yeah, many fills. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So let's go back to, we'll go to this. And I just want to go back to that thought really quickly about what we need in our division, right? And again, I don't need it. Like I'm going to die if I don't get it. This is about, for us to have leaders emerge. The push period is a metaphor for how you're going to handle other struggles. Because the managers in our company that wind up succeeding short and long-term in our company. And by the way, I think the leaders that succeed in baseball, as an NBA player, in football, whatever, right? It's the same stuff, okay, that we're looking for us to have the leadership that we should and could have, for us to build our division. By the way, if you fail, like the way you look at failure, like you miss a goal, you don't hit your CPO number, anything like that. What I care about more is, did you hit your CPO, your demo number? Did you make the phone calls? And if you didn't, let's say you come 17 days from now and you're like, I definitely learned that I didn't do enough phone time. I definitely learned I didn't make enough, names on my phone list. I definitely learned this XYZ. Well, at least we can learn from that experience and go forward on another push period, because it's not like that's the end of your existence as a leader at some point. You know what I mean? Like you can actually still improve. And the more you do that now in the push period, and the more you do that in the rest of your career and vector, it's just going to make you a better everything later in life. Okay. So what am I looking for? People that do have a track record. So if you want to jot a couple of notes down, and we'll wrap up. Okay, guys. So I'm actually looking not for whether someone struggles. I almost feel like someone who sells magically 15,000. When Kevin Huntsman sold 15,000, by the way, he wasn't a slouch. He did 44 demos in 10 days. He sold $16,241. And his friend, who he referred to the job, McKenna, was also in training with her. And she sold $16,295. So she beat him by $54. Whatever that number is. 241 and 295. So $54. Yeah, 50. She beat him by $54. They both sold 16 grand, and they're in the same training class. But they both did 44 demos. But you know how much they sold after that? $5 grand total between the two of them. They were flashes in the pan. They broke records, both sold 16 grand. They were 17, 18 years old. They're like, whatever, I'm going to go do something else, right? Because they lived at home and whatever. So, but they both for 10 days gave it all, and they both did 44 demos. But I'm looking for people that sell 5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand in a push. And then the next push, they sell another 5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand in a push. And then, you know, like they have a track record, right? They're consistent in their effort, or they sell $1,000 a week and they hit that string. And they hit it 10 weeks in a row and they don't miss it. And if they miss it, they get back on a string and they hit it again, right? And they learn, you know, and they get to 10, right? They're self-motivated. You know, the secret to self-motivation is having your whys. Just want to remind you about that. It's not because you're in a good mood and you decide today you're going to sell 15 grand. It's because you keep your whys in mind. And when you're not motivated, remember, motivation is trumped by habits, right? Your habits can always overcome motivation problems. So if you're getting up early, if you're making good result, you're making phone calls, even if you don't feel like making phone calls, right? If you're working on your names list, even when you don't feel like it, if you're getting up on time and you're don't want to get up on time, but you still get up on time, that trumps the motivation to get up on time. Okay. Fun. I don't mind telling you, I don't like having, you know, stick in the mud stuff going all the time. I'd rather have a lot more fun in my job, and I'd rather have people that want to have fun, and they're having fun with their customers, having fun with the reps, having fun with their managers, or having fun, right? They're not always depressed. You know, doesn't mean you don't get depressed. Doesn't mean you don't struggle with it. I struggle. Raise your hand. You do too? Okay, good. All right. Make me feel good. All right. But we're still going to like laugh about our sappiness and ridiculousness. Okay. We're going to have fun with it. They're driven, compelled by a vision of their own. Okay. I hope you're motivated to get on the phone in a minute, because that's what we want to do. We want to make Monday night, the last 2 hours of this phone jam, really, really positive. Okay. We look for managers, leaders, CSPs, branch managers, district managers that have learned to work with people. I don't mind telling you, some of that is sales skills. They learn how to drop down. They learn how to influence the customer and say, I don't think you want to get an essential set. I think you should get the galley set. I think you'll be much more happy getting the galley set today based on what you've told me today. And, you know, I think you should get the signature set versus dropping down to that homemaker. The homemaker is the basic set, and I know you want to get it, but I think you'll be way happier spending a couple more dollars today and getting the signature set. And, you know, Ms. Jones, don't worry about it. Get these 3 pieces. I guarantee you'll be glad you get them. And then a year later, you sell them a homemaker. That's also working with people. Taking the small sale today versus, you know, being ticked off you didn't sell it, the big one, right? Referrals, by the way, I mean, you guys, I'm not going to go backwards because it'll erase everything, but going back to great with people, it's they get results with referrals, because that is a sign. See, customers will refer, they'll buy because of what? The knives. It's so good that they'll buy the knives, but referrals is a reflection of how well you work with them and how well you share your goals and, you know, like that type of thing. All right. People that can solve problems and help get solving, you know, help get solutions. You can solve, but then you can also, you know, work towards solutions. They're solution oriented. That's the best way to be. And coachable. And the last one, this is so important. It's not counting hours. How many of your parents have said, well, you work so hard, you don't get, you know, paid hourly, you don't get paid to work at, go to a meeting and, you know, 3 to 7 on Monday, right? Why you go to that meeting, right? Guys, in the real world, there's no billionaires that count hours. There's no millionaires that count hours. Unfortunately, there's no teachers that count hours because they work 80 hours for, in many cases, crappy pay, but because they care about the result. in the end, the result is what you should be compensated on. Here, luckily, you do. I don't think that's always true in other businesses. But here you do get compensated on your results. And you should be fired up about that. Okay. Nice. Okay, good. I'm seeing your chat box stuff. Okay. Hey guys, thank you. I really appreciate all of you. And again, all of this stuff matters for the push for your income and for what you create. But for us to build the Intermountain Division, we're looking for this when it comes to leadership. Okay. So wrapping up, most important thing that I hope you take from today is that we want you to have a great push. You could last and you could work here for 19 more days and move on from Cutco. And we want you to have an absolutely amazing SC2 push and SC2 conference, 19 days, right? But on the other hand, if you're here for 19 days, 19 months, 19 years, telling you it's worth your time to go all out, to make these 17 days something that you can be proud of. And at the end of that time, keep in mind what you can make in August, keep in mind what you can make all through school. No debt, no student loans. There's a lot of reasons to work, whether you ever look into leadership in our company, management, district, branch, whatever management. I'll tell you right now, we're here to help you guys get everything you can get out of this job. And the longer I work with leaders in our teams and over the years, the more I enjoy it as we help people overcome challenge and overcome the concept of growth and improvement and motivation's a little thing, but it's really just, like I said, habits. The great things can happen when you're committed and your whys. Tyler, thanks for showing up. It's really great to have you here. Courtney, Viviana, Max, Jacob, Jonathan, Jingleheimer Schmidt, Gavin, Kirsten, all of you in the office here. That's everybody else. And Isabel, you're not in the office. Okay. But thank you all for being here. It's been a pleasure. So I want to remind you, 7:30 mañana. If I'm me, I'm working tonight to get like 5 to 6 more demos booked. 2 to 4 per hour times 2 hours. Really make the calls. I'm going to be on Zoom. We're going to be on Zoom. We're going to be making phone calls here at the office. Maybe take a couple minutes, go to the bathroom. But let's get on the phone and book up. And then 7:30 a.m. tomorrow, Champs Club Alliance from 7:30 to 8. And then 8 to 9 is the meeting, right? And then 9 to 9:30 is Champs Club. Okay, guys? Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to give us a little tunage. And you guys are free to get going on the phone. And we will see you tomorrow at 7:30. Peace out. Is it on? All right, what do we got? I have no idea what this is. That's okay.
We get almost every
No, it
night.
is slightly loud.
When that moon is big and bright, it's a
Okay.
supernatural delight.
It's a lot quieter.
Dancing in the moonlight.
Okay, good.
Dancing in the
All right, I'm gonna go with this.
Everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a
Okay, leave it in here.
fine natural sight. Everybody's dancing in the
Oh, that's a good song too.
dancing in the moonlight. Everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such
What's your story? You go in Junction, or you're here to Price? Okay. Are you gonna phone first, then go, or are you gonna go to Price? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, then I can let you go. What's your story?
They don't bark and they don't bite. They keep things close. They keep
That's right.
Everybody was dancing in the